Hello everyone. Today I'll be talking about love. So it's been a while since I made a video and I thought today would be the day. So today we'll be talking about love. In my last video, I kind of talked a little bit about love also, but it's mostly about relationship. But what I want to focus on today is love in modern day, in today's world. I feel like with the internet and specifically social media, it really has ruined and changed our definition of what love is. But specifically, I feel like it kills romance. So this video will be divided into three sections, which is love as something passive, love in social media, and love as an action. Now, why I say I feel like love has become something so passive is because it has. I feel like today's world, we don't really think of love as something that is an action, but more of something that comes to you. And then you kind of just fall into it, right? In some sense, it is true, but it's not necessarily like that though. But I feel like mostly we start off with love as an action, and then we get heartbroken, and the recovery from that turns love into something more passive than rather it is active. Now I can understand why we do these things because obviously you got heartbroken and then you put a lot of effort into it, right? After that, I get why you wouldn't have the desire to put more action into love. But it also has ruined what love is supposed to be. So, what is the form of love as something passive? This can start from the recovery of a broken heart, which I feel like a lot of us knows what the term like post breakup glow up. See, a post breakup glow up is already a form of love as something passive. Because what do we do in a post breakup glow up? We focus on ourselves. We make ourselves more desirable. That's the key. We focus more on making ourselves desirable. We don't learn how to love again correctly. Instead, we try to make ourselves more desirable, more lovable, more acceptable. And we kind of forget the part where we relearn how to love ourselves again, how to love someone else again. We forget about that. We focus more on how to make ourselves desirable. And I feel like also these days, we really limit our love. Like, I feel like a lot of us have what we would call a type. We have a type, and then we make ourselves more desirable for that group of people. So let's say if I'm a guy who's in love with like, who likes, like, I guess like e-girls or whatever, or like goth mommies, obviously I would make myself more feminine, more, yeah, more feminine, more sub-ish, you know what I mean? Because that's what desirable to them. But then it just kind of cuts out everything else about myself just so that I would be desirable for that group of people. And that puts a lot of limit to the people that could have loved us, right? And so everybody just kind of makes themselves desirable for a certain group of people, and then they cut the rest of themselves out, and then they're no longer themselves. They're just something that is desirable for that group of people. And it's so limiting, and I think that makes love so shallow because then we're just, we're just putting up an act. We're just putting up an act to make ourselves more desirable, more lovable. And that's what makes love so passive, because you're making yourself attractive to love instead of going for love, if that makes sense. And it's not helpful, actually. It's not helpful for anyone, because then you don't learn how to love yourself. So then you crave more validation. You just crave more, actually. And another thing that happens, I feel like this way of thinking or this way of recovery creates a lot of narcissists. You feel like you're desirable enough that it doesn't really matter how you love someone, that it doesn't really matter if you have a shitty relationship, because you can just move on to the next one because there are like 5 guys waiting for you. And you know what? In some cases, it's true. If your partner is shitty, then yeah, move on to the next one. There's no need to worry. A lot of people would want you, right? But in most cases, what if you're the shitty one? What if you're the problem? What if, because of that recovery and the way you recover, you never learn how to love properly, and so that person leaves you because you're not a good lover? But you would never realize that, because in your head it's like, I'm so hot, I'm so desirable, I'm so lovable. Why would anyone hate me? And yeah, sure, you may be lovable, but are you a loving person though? You can be so lovable, but you can also be such a bad lover at the same time. And sadly, for some people, you never learn from that. Because one day, those people will meet a new person who also doesn't know how to love, who also doesn't know how to love themselves properly. So then they never care. They never understood how to be loved properly, and they just taken this way of treatment as something that is amazing, because they accept the love that they think they deserve, and they don't know what they're worth. And so they just think that this is something good and they take it. And so then you live happily ever after. But it's not really a great story, is it? Fortunately, though, it happens a lot. So let's move on to my next topic, which is love in social media. Now, I think this would be the longest chapter, because it's something that I experience every day, right? We're always on social media. You're watching this because you're on social media. I feel like there are so many rules these days about loving. Like, I feel like social media keeps on feeding the heartbroken. And that's why no one is able to really love or experience love properly. I mean, there are so many rules, like the 3-month rule, the 6-month rule, the 1 year rule, the what do you call it? Like, the if he wanted to, he would. The whole rule number 4, rule number 5, whatever. I don't even know what those things say. Like, nobody ever says the same thing though. It's always a different reason. It's always a different rule, and there are so much rules. Why should there be rules? Why can't we just love to the fullest? Because then, if there are rules, you don't love people unconditionally, you love people conditionally. And I get that these rules are made to kind of somewhat protect yourself, right? It's a way for you to build a wall so then you wouldn't get heartbroken. But if you want to be in love, you have to be prepared for that. You have to be prepared to be heartbroken, because it will happen. How I like to imagine it is that when you're in love, your heart, they get pumped, right? They get pumped with air of love. And sometimes you have to carry all that air alone. So then your heart gets pumped up, it gets so big, and it explodes to a million broken pieces, and then there you go, you're heartbroken. but it comes from something so, so beautiful. And there's no shame in that, you know? I don't get the people who shames others for like staying with someone who's not like bad for them, but I don't get people who criticize other people who are in a quote unquote bad relationship or whatever. But I don't think like I feel like the only reason a relationship would be bad is that if they don't build onto it. If they fight all the time, right? If they make mistakes all the time, but they build onto it, who cares? They're in love, they're working, they're figuring it out. I mean, come on. We're 16, 17, 18. We're young. Of course, we're gonna fuck up. It happens, and let it be. And as I said, I feel like social media really feeds into this stupid, a lot of expectations that are stupid and a lot of rules that doesn't make sense. And so everyone just is heartbroken. And I feel like everybody on social media just tries so hard to be relatable. And that's like the one thing that makes you relevant is that if you're relatable, so then you stay heartbroken, so you would be relatable. And it's sad. But sometimes also, two broken heart people can get together and they can heal each other, I guess. But sometimes it doesn't really work. But sometimes it works. In some cases it works. But some cases it works, some cases it doesn't work. But it happens a lot. Two heartbroken people getting together, right? Now, I mean, like, sure, that's cute. But don't you want to fall in love with something else other than debating suicide? Like, the love comes from such a dark place, and in some ways it could ruin you or not. And but you know what? Love is love. It happens. But it's sad. It's so sad to be in that position. Being heartbroken is so romanticized to the point where everyone is just heartbroken. And people who are in happy relationships feel the need to also be heartbroken. And it's so like sad to me. Like there are just so many people who are saying like, "Oh, rule, this rule, that rule." You could be in such a perfect relationship. You can be in such a forgiving relationship, and then you see one video saying that, "Oh, if he wanted to, he would." And then you think to yourself, "Oh my God, he didn't do this to me. He doesn't want me." And then you just ruin that for yourself. You punish yourself for something that you wanted for a long time. Why would you ruin something so beautiful over one stupid video? And you know what? Maybe he does want to. Maybe he just can't, or he doesn't understand. Or maybe, like, your idea of love and his idea of love is different, and that's okay. You learn, you communicate, and then you fix that with each other. You don't just ruin something nice just over one video because you want to be relatable. It doesn't work. So, if you want to be in love, you cannot listen to the people who are heartbroken. You listen to here. You listen to your heart. Okay? And please, for you guys who are heartbroken, feel it. Feel it, but don't don't feed into it. And what I mean by don't feed into it is I feel like a lot of us are so heartbroken and we feed into it and it's just way too hard to recover to the point where we no longer love with our heart because it's way too broken, so we start loving with our brain. And so everything becomes so logical and everything suddenly becomes so simple and so black and white. But that's not what love is. Love is not black and white and will never be is. Love is so complex, it's complicated, and it will forever be. And people will say, but love is supposed to be simple. If it's true love is simple, no, it's not. It's not simple and will never be. Love is a lot of things. It's so complex. And this, I'm not talking about, you know what? I'm not only talking about being in love with other people. This could also be with yourself or for the love that you have for the things that you do. It's a lot of things. And so if you're heartbroken, stop feeding into that heart. Fix it first. And remember, when you're in that recovery, don't focus too much on how to make yourself more desirable. Instead, learn how to love again. How to love properly, how to love someone properly, how to love yourself properly, because that's actually what makes you so desirable. Someone who knows how to love themselves is so attractive. Why? Because you can tell that they are secure within themselves, and you know that they will treat you hella good. If they love themselves, you know that they would love you even better. Because that means they have a lot of love to give. And that's great. And that's what makes you so attractive. And that's what makes someone so attractive. You can't, like, and you will be attractive to everyone. That's a thing. That's a big difference. You can make yourself so desirable to a certain group of people, and you will be desirable for that group of people, but that's it. Now, if you love yourself, if you are a loving person, you can be desirable for everyone, and especially yourself. And that opens up so much window for you. So, on to my next topic, which is last one, is love as an action, which I think is the most important part. Love requires faith. It requires faith, it requires a lot of it, right? But what is also as important is work takes a lot of love. It takes, wait, love takes a lot of work. Love takes a lot of work. And it takes a lot of work, okay? Like, you're in a relationship, you have to build on that for a really long time. You have to continuously learn how to understand your partner, how to love your partner properly. I mean, when you're in a relationship, right, you have to focus on, like, oh, how to love your partner better, how to make them feel loved, how to make them feel understood, how can we compromise, how can we compromise to make the both of us happy. I mean, when you're already in a relationship, you can't just like keep on thinking, oh, how can I make myself prettier so that my boyfriend would like me more. Sure, you can do that, but it's not gonna last you long. You have to build on like how to understand him better, how to love him better, how to make sure that he understands you better. How can you make yourself happier in this relationship? What needs to be compromised? What is it that you don't like? That you want him to change? You have to learn how to communicate that thing. And it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of practice because as much as like me, someone who cares so much about my appearance, like I don't want to die ugly. Okay, like I don't care whether I die young than I die ugly. But the problem is, this isn't forever. This is not forever. I'm not gonna look like this in 5 years. May not even look the same next year. Who knows? But the love that you built with someone, that can last forever. If the foundation is well, yeah. I mean, if you work on it well, if you maintain it well, it could last forever. But this doesn't matter how much you try, how much you maintain it. Time is gonna get to you. Time is gonna age you, and you're not gonna look the same. You're not gonna stay the same. And that's why, like, love as an action is important. Another thing is, when I say like you have to work into love, I'm not saying that you gotta like look for love all the time. I'm not saying you're always gonna go on a hunt for the next person that you're gonna be in a relationship with. No, I'm saying is that the kind of action that it comes to love when you're not in a relationship is learning how to love yourself. Again, it always comes back to self-love. And learning how to love someone properly can start with learning how to love yourself properly. because it opens up windows for you. Again, it's not a good idea for you to jump around looking for people, like the next people for you to date, obviously not. And like, it's just how it is, you know? And love also takes faith, I said again. Faith, but it also takes work, right? I mean, it's the same thing as like believing God. I feel like religion and God, it's a lot of love. It's almost everything is about love, actually. Everything is about love. I mean, you can pray every day to have $1 billion in your bank account. It won't happen unless you work, right? And I mean, you can win the lottery, but it takes work. You have to go to the store, buy lottery tickets, scratch it up, and there you go, $1 billion. That's work. You gotta walk to the store. You gotta drive to the store. Whatever. You have to pick up a coin, scratch that shit. It doesn't just appear. And yeah, it's important. And I think it's also important to not so quickly give up on love. Another thing with working on love is can be part where you make a mistake. Evaluation is important. I feel like a lot of people think that I mean, having your partner or falling out of love, it is scary. I feel like a lot of us is so scared that we think like, oh, we make a mistake and then they just hate us. But if that person loves you, they wouldn't want you to go and leave them. You know what I mean? If you made a mistake to someone that you love and you know that they love you, you should appreciate that. And you should evaluate. Wake up the next morning. Or as soon as you get to, you apologize and you fixed it. Wake up the next morning and change your ways. And like, if you don't believe in people, you can take the example of God. You wake up every day, right? He wakes you up every day. You wake up because he lets you wake up. He wakes you up every day knowing damn well you're gonna disappoint him that day. Everybody sin. Everybody sin every day. And he knows that you're gonna sin. But he wakes you up still. And the day that where you wake up is the chance for you to fix things, right? But that doesn't mean you can just do whatever you want because one day you will die. It's the same thing with having someone who loves you. You can make a lot of mistakes, but you have to fix it. Because you cannot just do it again and again and again, knowing they will forgive you, but you don't know when they're gonna fall out of love. That's why building onto love is very important. So, again, in conclusion is, love is an action and you cannot just wait around for it. And there's no point in making yourself so desirable because it doesn't make you a better person. Being pretty, being hot, being handsome, being attractive just only makes you desirable, but that doesn't make you a loving person. You may be lovable, but you may not be loving. That doesn't make you a better person either, you know? Like, you're nice to look at, but then that's it. So, if what you're looking for is a longtime friend that would stay with you forever until death do you guys apart, or maybe someone whose name will make you crawl out of your grave, you have to work for it. You have to work on it. And so, yeah, I know that there are already many people telling you that you should work on yourself, go to the gym, get on a diet, do your skincare to make yourself more desirable, make your ex regret you or whatever, all that thing. But I'm here telling you that you should learn how to love. Because most of the time, relationship fails not because you're unlovable, but because you're not loving enough. Or you're just not a great lover. So, yeah. But hey, You're gonna watch this video and you may sleep tonight and you will wake up tomorrow. You might. I mean, I don't know. You might wake up tomorrow. So you can either start from now or tomorrow, who cares? But the point is, let's bring back romance back to life. Because I know it's the one thing that everybody craves, right? Everybody craves romance, and so we should bring it back to life, not kill it. Stop listening to those stupid TikToks. If you're sad right now, be sad. Listen to those sad songs, but like, don't do it for too long. Because, like, it's not gonna get you anywhere anyway. Like, being sad is not gonna get you a girlfriend or a boyfriend, okay? So, yeah. Peace and love, everyone. Love. I love love. Be in love. I hope you're in love. Be in love with yourself. I love you. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe. And I hope you guys find love. Bye.